The Yankees and the Dodgers are starting a 3-game set at Yankee Stadium where, we've been ballyhooing this as possibly a World Series preview. 2 of the better teams in baseball, Yankees, Orioles, Dodgers, Phillies. Those would be everybody's top 4. And the Yankees and the Dodgers start this 3-game set tonight. But maybe some of the luster might have been taken away after the 5th inning of last night's game. The Yankees won their 8th in a row and the 6th straight against the Twins when Juan Soto did not come out and play right field in the 6th inning after a 56-minute rain delay. And we find out later he had some soreness in his left forearm, and he's a left-handed thrower, and that he was undergoing imaging today.
Right.
Not sure that you could keep up this pace of play where they have the best record in baseball if you lose Juan Soto for any extended period of time. So, Aaron Boone is going to talk at 4, his daily press conference with the media. We'll listen in. We'll find out exactly what he says. We're waiting on the Yankee lineup to see if Soto is in it. But talk about taking some of the shine off of what has been a brilliant Yankee start if there's something wrong with Soto.
Well, you also forgot to mention that he gave the peace sign with the left hand, so many people are looking at that as a positive. I don't know.
On the video you're talking about.
On the video that they showed when he walked into the building. Listen, you're going to be looking at any positives. There's a couple of things at play here. Number one, the Yankees are a very, very good baseball team. Are they as good without Juan Soto? Of course not. But I think they're still an outstanding baseball team that is capable of still being able to win this division and maybe compete for a championship. But what does this mean, Michael, if it ended up going sideways and you have a Domingo Germán situation where he's out a year?
Jason
Dominguez. I'm sorry.
Dominguez, yeah.
Jason Dominguez situation where he ends up being out for a year. Then what does that do as far as bringing him back? How does that affect free agency, either positive or negative? Like I would still think teams would pursue him because he's so young that even if you don't have him until June of next year, he's still worth signing to a long-term contract. But it definitely adds a lot more intrigue to his future here and the future for him specifically. But do I think that, Michael, they could still compete for a championship without him? Well, they were competing for a championship without him before he got here, so I still think you could. But certainly to feel the way you feel about this team right now, how could you not be worried?
Well, we're in the middle right now of the Pinstripe Report brought to you by Samuel Institute for Pain Management. John Heyman, who we know has a very, very good relationship with Scott Boras, has just tweeted out, initial prognosis is inflammation for Soto, so looks like a relief. Initial doctor report suggests Soto will be okay. Radiologists will review, though, to be sure. Again, Heyman has a very good relationship with Boras. Boras is obviously in the loop on this when it comes to Soto. So the initial prognosis is inflammation. Now, just because that's the initial prognosis, that doesn't let me take a deep breath just yet. Because I always ask, and nobody ever has a real good answer, well what's causing the inflammation? Mm-hmm. Inflammation just doesn't happen. And somebody actually broke down his throwing velocity from year to year. I think it was on Greeny's show. And this year, it's been a lot lower than it was last year in terms of throwing ability. So is this something that's been bothering him? The Yankees said it's been bothering him for a week and a half. So, there's so many layers to this. We don't want to sit here and guess. We're not doctors. The initial prognosis from Heyman looks good. But if it is something where he can't play the outfield, right? Mm-hmm. But he can hit, which Bryce Harper did. Bryce Harper did that before he had the surgery for Tommy John. Then it changes the whole dynamic of the team. Then you could project and say, well, Soto becomes a DH. Because if Soto can hit, he's not here for his defense anyway. If Soto can hit, he's gonna DH. That makes essentially Giancarlo Stanton a non-person. Mm-hmm. he becomes a pinch hitter, and he's not a good pinch hitter. Maybe they will try every now and then to put him in the outfield. But what the Yankees would become, if Soto becomes a DH because of his arm, they become a 25-man roster, not a 26-man roster. And it would also probably necessitate them calling up Jason Dominguez. So Dominguez would play center, Judge would move back to right, and then you've got Verdugo on left. I don't think they'd go with Grisham as their everyday center fielder, although he had a home run yesterday. So there's a lot of layers to this, Don and Peter, and it's not anything that you wanted going into this series. You wanted to see both of these teams feeling great at the top of their game, and now there's a shadow. We'll see. Soto could be in the lineup today, and we'll all laugh. He hasn't missed a game since the beginning of 2023. He has the longest streak, he and Freddie Freeman. They don't miss games. So that's why when he came out of the game yesterday, it does raise your eyebrows a bit.
I can't imagine if there's inflammation, Michael, he'd play today. Because you say you got to get to the bottom of what's causing the inflammation. It might not be Tommy John. It might not be something serious. But listen, we've seen stranger things. But with everything that we've seen, even if it's good news, would it be smart to have him in the lineup today?
Maybe to hit.
Because you got to be careful. But at the same time, you got to be able to use him. You want to get to the bottom line. What's happening here? Now, we thought the same thing for Cole. Oh, well, he's obviously going to have to go for Tommy John surgery. Well, apparently not. It looks like he might be only a couple of rehab starts away from returning to the team. Tanaka ended up never needing the surgery at that particular time. So we have seen some good news around this, but we've also seen bad news. What happened with Dominguez is, we still haven't seen him as far as wearing a Yankee uniform. He missed a lot of time because of the Tommy Johns. It's happened. As you said, Bryce Harper had to miss significant time in the field because of that.
And moved to first base.
And the Yankees are not really they're already trying to figure out what to do with Stanton, and then eventually at some point what to do with Judge as far as in the field. You don't want to. That's the other thing too, Michael, is that this turns out to be okay for now. But does it become something that you have to keep an eye on, that when you do decide to give him the long-term contract, is that something that you may eventually have to address sooner than later? Where now, you've got this 25, 26-year-old, but at the age of 30, he is somebody that might have to DH because that arm is a problem and he can't play in the field. So there's a lot of different layers, both short-term and long-term, for what's going to happen here with him.
Am I a bad guy if I don't go down the doomsday path quite yet, and we just see what's going on here? And if it is just some sort of mild inflammation and he takes a few days, takes a 10-day and comes back?
Well, you could.
Well, no, you're not a bad guy.
Crazy?
I guess that's a judicious way to look at it. What we're doing is covering all the bases on what could happen. I mean, this is a guy in his young career has been on the IL just 3 times.
Right.
Never missed more than 10 games.
Never more than 10?
Never more than 10. He was on the IL with back spasms when he was young, then a COVID IL, and then a left hamstring strain.
Why did I feel like there was a year where he missed more time?
Oh, no, left shoulder strain. I'm sorry, left shoulder, not hamstring. No, he only missed 10 games. The most he ever missed was 10 games.
It's not, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, it's not that normal that a 25-year-old would be going through something like this unless something is wrong. So now,
again,
what's wrong?
We don't know.
Peter can lean positive. Hey, it's nothing. We can just do this, and he's back lickety split, no big deal. But Michael said it best. What's causing the inflammation? Is it something simple, or is it something catastrophic? We're going to have to just wait and find out for that. But it is not normal for a 25-year-old to have inflammation in his arm unless something's going on, and we'll have to find out what that is.
Now, you brought up the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we are covering all the bases here. We are not being doctors and saying what is wrong. We're saying what could be wrong. So if there is something wrong with the elbow, I've had a lot of people ask me, well, does that impact the contract? And I don't think it impacts it at all. Did it impact it with Ohtani? I mean, one of the great attractions of Ohtani is that he can pitch. Well, the people that signed him, the Dodgers, knew he couldn't pitch at all in 2024. And they showered him with $700 million for 10 years. And present-day value of $46 million a year. So they didn't care that he couldn't pitch. No one would care if Soto couldn't play the field ever again. If he could be a DH and hit the way he hits. He's a dynamic player. Now, it does take some of the luster off of him because he's 25 and the youth is, he's young and he's not going to get hurt. And, this is an injury now, and we'll see exactly what they do. I'm very intrigued if he's in the lineup today.
Well, he's not. Brian Hoke is reporting he is not in the lineup.
He is not in the lineup.
Yeah.
This is a guy who doesn't miss games, so that's a little weird too.
It's not ideal. Listen, we got to go step by step. Obviously, the best thing would have been he's in the lineup. We have no conversation to have. So step one, not great. Let's see what happens next when we hear at 4 o'clock.
And again, I was so looking forward. This is the only game that Yes is doing in this 3-game set.
That's true, yeah.
And you're looking forward to this series. You just are. You wanted them both at the top of their games, and now Soto's not in the line. It stinks. It really does. It stinks for baseball because this is a showcase series. It is. I mean, you have the 2 marquee franchises in all of sports, and now Juan Soto's not playing it. It kind of stinks. It really does. And I don't like it.
Well, do something about it. Show us something.
Well, what can I do? Go in a clubhouse?
I'm not sure. You got to figure it out, Michael.
No, but this is going back to Peter's, proclamation a few months ago that I jumped him on, and I had to apologize because he ended up being right. What is going on with the injuries here in New York?
Oh, yeah.
Now, we don't know how much this is going to derail or affect at all the Yankees going forward, but this has been an unbelievable season that it can only be derailed by injury. And now one of the players that are making it so, is now going to miss a game, and we're going to have to find out for what. We saw what it did to the Knicks run in the postseason. Aaron Rodgers. The Giants almost on a routine basis. Peter, it is crazy. It's just coincidence. There isn't anything in the water. But it's just crazy that the one thing that's been a constant throughout New York has been some sort of injury that has affected at least the direction of a team's season. It killed the Jets season.
Dead.
What was that, Petey?
Is it possible that whatever it is in the water that makes the bagels delicious also completely derails athletes?
Well, that same water was here in 96, 98, 99, 2000.
You know what? It's a great response by you.
But that was a long time ago. Water changes.
Yeah,
very fluid.
You know what, Don? Don, it's a great point by you. It's very fluid.
But
you hear that, Michael?
It's odd.
Water is very fluid.
Well, I guess you could say the Rangers.
No, Adam Fox was hurt.
But there's gonna be injuries, and he played.
Truba was hurt, broke his ankle,
but they played. I mean, every team has to overcome. Nobody's going to be completely injury free. I don't know if we can honestly sit here and say that the reason the Rangers did not win the Stanley Cup is because they were banged up. I think that would be unfair to the Panthers. I think that would be an unfair analysis of their season. But can we say that the Knicks would have beaten the Pacers? Absolutely. I'm not saying they would have won a championship, but they did not go as far as they should have had everybody had been healthy. The Jets season completely derailed. There was no chance of them making the playoffs after what happened with Aaron Rodgers. So we don't know what would have happened had he had been able to stay healthy. So clearly the Rodgers injury derailed their season. So, I don't know where the Giants would have gone if Daniel Jones didn't get hurt. Probably nowhere, but still. It was a major injury to your quarterback that affected the rest of the season. It's been going on and on here. And then we'll see what happens with Soto. But if God forbid he's missed for any length of time, you can't say that it doesn't hurt them a little bit. One of the best players in baseball.
Listen, we're not going to sit here and put lipstick on a pig. If Soto's really hurt, it hurts them tremendously. It's the difference between them being one of the best teams in baseball and then just contending. It hurts them tremendously. You're taking an MVP candidate who was on a Hall of Fame arc, who at the age of 25 is one of the best players who ever lived, and if you remove him, there's no next man up. So it would hurt them a lot.
No, it would hurt them a lot because of the significance of the player. But I still think they can win this division and make the playoffs. Right? Last year they were derailed by injury, finished 82-80. So if they were healthy, Michael, would they not be competing for a championship? It's essentially the same team. You add Juan Soto, but if you've got a healthy Judge and you have a healthy Rizzo and a healthy Volpe, and then you've got Cole coming back, and this pitching has been outstanding. If you, God forbid, found out that Soto's done for the year, it would hurt. But I still think you could feel like that you could still do some special things here. You couldn't say that when the Jets lost Aaron Rodgers.
Well, because there's a quarterback, and then the next quarterback can't play. So, yeah, you're going to have a viable player, but it's not going to be Juan Soto.
No, he's not going to be Juan Soto.
The thing that makes them special is it's Soto and Judge.
Well, obviously they won't win the division by as many games, but
They might not win the division.
Maybe not, but I still think they'd be in contention to do it. Because, listen, Soto's been special, but Stanton's on fire. Judge has been on fire.
Okay, but what happened when Judge went down last year? They crapped the bed.
Right. But they didn't have
There's
Soto
no
last year.
replacement for players like that.
Right, but what I'm saying is that if Judge had stayed healthy, where would they have finished?
They would have had about 94 wins instead of 82.
So can't you still look at this team as a mid-90s team without Soto?
Yeah, yes, you can, Don, but with Soto, they're a 105 win team.
Well, that's why I'm acknowledging that it's significant, but I don't necessarily believe it ends your season. It just makes things a little bit more tighter. But this pitching staff has been tremendous. The bullpen is terrific. You still have the ability to add. And who would replace Juan Soto?
I would think it would be Dominguez.
Yeah, so again, he came out like a house on fire when he came up. So what if he turns out to continue the trajectory that he was on, that they believe he can be on? I'm just trying to look at the glass half full here, and we don't even know what the situation is for Soto. But for people that want to cry in their pillow and believe that this is the worst possible scenario, yes, it is, but I still think that the season is salvageable. More than salvageable.
Yeah, but you said that last year about Judge, and it wasn't salvageable. You said next man, they always have a history of next man up, and they did when Boone first took over, but the players that were missing were not Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. Those guys are irreplaceable.
Right, but I'm just going by what you said, that if Judge didn't get hurt, they're probably a 94-95 win team. Well, this is pretty much the same team minus Cole, but you look at the way Heel has pitched, and Cole's coming back.
Well, that's what I say. If you get Cole back pitching like Cole, and Heel continues to be Heel, and Judge continues to be Judge, and you're actually getting a pretty good Stanton, to Don's point, you would think you could absorb the loss of someone who you did not have before this year. At least have a really good year, even if it may really hurt your championship opportunity.
There is also, though, I think there is a mental aspect to it. When they lost Judge, their soul was ripped out. I'm sorry, it was. They rallied at the end to go over 500, but for a while, their soul was ripped out for about a third of the season, maybe even more. If you lose a guy like Soto, I mean, there's going to be a mental aspect to it.
That's a curious topic. Would it be? Because you lose Judge because of what he means to your team, but you also lose your captain. You lose the face of your franchise. Juan Soto's been here for 5 minutes, so he's going to affect your chances of winning, but I don't know if he would affect the room emotionally the way losing Judge did.
Fair.
I mean, a lot of these guys were close to him, came up with him. They've known Juan Soto for a while, and I think they probably look at Juan Soto for what he is. He's a guy that's here to help us win. We'll get lovey-dovey with him once he signs the long-term contract, but it's a business. He's here. But on the surface, he's a mercenary. He's here, and then maybe we sign him, maybe we don't. So how close are you going to get? He's a part of your team, and you welcome him in.
I'm not saying, we just lost our best friend. We just lost a guy who was an unbelievable player.
But I think that when the way it affected him psychologically with losing Judge was partially because of how it affected the order, but also because of how they felt about the guy. Right? I mean, emotion, because they've always been able to rally, right? Give the Yankees credit. No matter who got hurt, they always found a way to rally. Except this time, there were just too many injuries and too big of a guy to lose, because I just think he's significant in that room. He's your captain. He's your leader. He's the face of the franchise. He's your forever player. You see what I'm saying, Peter? I just think it would affect me more emotionally to lose somebody that I'm close to, that it's a part of the fabric of the organization, and also what he can do for me. Juan Soto, at this stage of his career, it's going to be more about what he can do for me as far as wins and losses. I don't know how emotionally attached they are to him.
Well, that's the Pinstripe Report, brought to you by Samwell Institute for Pain Management. For pain-free life, visit SamwellPain.com today. And as we were talking, the Yankees have put out their starting lineup. So this is the lineup without Soto. And the starting lineup on 98.7 ESPN, brought to you by Bigelow Tea and Serta Pro Painters. Anthony Volpe leads off, plays shortstop, batting second, the left fielder Alex Verdugo. Hitting third, playing right field, Aaron Judge. The DH cleaning up is Giancarlo Stanton. Anthony Rizzo bats fifth and plays first. Batting sixth and playing second base, Gleyber Torres. The number 7 hitter, third baseman DJ LeMahieu. Trent Grisham essentially replaces Soto in the lineup. He's batting in the 8 hole and playing center field. And Jose Trevino will catch, and he will bat ninth. Cody Poteet is going to start for the Yankees against the Dodgers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. That's tonight's Yankees starting lineup, brought to you by Bigelow Tea. Bigelow Tea is a proud supporter of the Michael Kay Show and the official hot tea of the New York Yankees, and by CertaPro Painters. When choosing a painting professional for your home or business, the choice is simple. Choose happy. Choose CertaPro Painters. So there you have it. That's the news. We're waiting on Aaron Boone, who is going to speak at 4 o'clock. He'll explain why Soto's not in the lineup today. The John Heyman tweet said that it's inflammation. It's a little bit of a sigh of relief. But again, in a big game against the Dodgers, he's not playing tonight. This is a guy who has not missed a game. He's played 227 straight regular season games and 12 postseason games. So 139 straight games, and he's not playing tonight. Now, he is listed as a regular. He's listed as a substitute on the Yankee lineup card, which means that I guess he's there to pinch hit in an emergency. They have not put him on the IL. He is listed as an extra on the card.